reports and parent-teacher interviews, they are fast approaching, and that can be nerve-wracking for many students, but also many parents and bonus parents.
Absolutely. Joining us today is Ruth Rumack from the aptly named Ruth Rumack Learning Space, with tips on acing the interview and keeping your kid on the right track for the rest of the year, and having a polite interview where nothing inappropriate is said, and having tempers not be for having explained enough, Ruth. Because that's we'll get to that in a second. That's where mine always
I would
goes.
love to see you in a parent-teacher interview. Yeah, it could get heated.
It's a vision no one wants. Ruth, good morning. Welcome.
Good morning.
Thanks for having me.
All right, let's dive into it here. Let's start with, how can we best decipher what a progress report is saying? Because not everyone gets the progress report. How would you define it?
So at this time of the year, we're getting a progress report, not a report card, where we're only getting indicators. Are they producing enough work? Are they moving academically forward in the right way? Or do they need some extra support? And we're looking for some red flags.
Yeah, and sometimes the system at which they're rated are sort of complicated, and they differ from school to school, I find. So sometimes when you're reading through those reports, it can be hard. But then you go to the parent-teacher interview, and often they're quite rushed.
They're only 5 minutes at the most. And if somebody before you was late, then you've got 4 minutes or 3 minutes. So you really want to be prepared. You want to come with your questions already laid out. You want to have read the report card already, and take the time to read it. Look at those comments. Look for patterns. Is there something that's being said over and over again from different teachers, or from different subjects?
And are students best to be there with you in the interview, or is this something that's sort of parent only, grown-ups only?
You know what, it really depends on the school. Some schools will invite the child to be there, usually later on in the year when they have something to present to the parents to say, this is what I've been working on for so long. At this point in the year, you want to just get a touch base. You want to touch in with the teacher to make sure that everything is progressing properly, and if it's not, then you're working and collaborating together to figure out a plan to get things on track. So can you bring your child? Sometimes you can, school dependent. I think if you are going to bring your child, you may want to think about, what do you want to say in private to the teacher, and what is something that you want to discuss in front of your child as well.
Ruth, if you have the option to email questions to the teacher, should you?
Take it.
Really?
Yes.
Because what if they send, what if it becomes an email chain back and forth and we just do the meeting over email? Like, is that a possibility as well? Can we just knock it off that way?
Perhaps if a teacher has the time to give you a lengthy understanding of what's going on, I would say you want to give your teacher a heads up. If you have a lot of questions and you only have 3 or 4 or 5 minutes at the most, you want to prepare them, allow them to prepare a thorough answer, allow them to gather their data so they don't feel ambushed, and they have the opportunity to make a thoughtful response.
And once you're in there, you say your niceties, hi. You're just getting right down to it?
I would get to it.
Yeah, okay.
The teacher's ready for that. She or he has all of their stuff ready to go, and they want to just bang through it.
So, all right, let's get down to it. If something is said by the teacher that you think is either disrespectful to your kid or a shot at you and your parenting skills, which I'm sure has happened once or twice in human history,
perhaps.
How does a parent take that without making the situation unnecessarily awkward, is the nicest way I could put it.
Yeah, without getting defensive, because you can get really defensive in those meetings.
It's very hard. I mean, especially when you're talking about your own kid, that's like your thing. So I would say, stay calm, take a deep breath. It's important to acknowledge where the teacher is coming from, but also acknowledge where the student is coming from. And if you find that this is going to be a heated debate, you are concerned about that, 2 things. You probably want to bring somebody with you, somebody else, so you're not going in alone. Either another parent, 2 parents coming together is good, or you might want to bring an advocate with you if you think that you need to have somebody that can help mediate a situation. But I would say you catch more flies with honey than with vinegar. So we are looking to collaborate in this situation and to work with the teacher. So the teacher may share something with you, a good, acknowledgement of, I hear what you're saying. I see where you're coming from. Can I share a little bit about my child's perspective? Or can I share a little bit about my perspective? Or how could we do this differently? How would you like this situation to be different in the future? Asking questions, I think, is better than reacting right away.
And because you only have that short period of time, maybe it's important to make, another appointment if there's something deeper. And do you think it is a good time to get information or to give information?
Oh, that's a good question. I think you've got to do a good balance of listening and talking. If you're not sure that the teacher really understands where your child is coming from, you want to share a little bit more about your kid. Tell them about their personality. What do they love? What are they interested in? What motivates them? But you also want to hear from the teacher, what is that child like in the school situation? Because often our kids are very different at home than they are in the classroom.
Final question, Ruth. If the meeting doesn't go to plan, because I'm sure you're going through your own head with questions about, could I do something better there? Was that a little offside? When you get home and your child asks, so how did it go?
Yes.
Like, if you're still trying to process it, how do you explain it to them?
Well, I think you always want to share something when you get home positive. Start with something positive. You know, your teacher loves the way that you are participating in group discussions. The teacher loves the way that this is happening for you. Because, of course, a student knows that they're going to be talked about, and they want to know, am I in the doghouse? Did I do okay here? So start with something positive. If it doesn't go according to plan, then you have to be somewhat honest with your child and say, you know what, there are a bunch of things we got to talk about here. We're going to talk, you and I, child and parent, but I'm also going to have a further discussion with the teacher so that we can really support you, child, in this situation, because you want your kid to feel good going into school. They go in every single day. You want them to feel motivated and excited and feel that they're part of that community in the classroom.
Absolutely. Ruth, you're great. Where can people find you online?
RuthRumack.com.